going to share my screen and zip out to the resource page that I shared in the chat if you want to go there and follow along. All right, so hopefully my screen is sharing. So to help with digital lesson design, we created a web page off of our main FTNTI website. It's under the teaching resources section. So if you're here and you bookmark, or if you already have this site bookmarked, this teaching resources part has really gotten pretty big. If you do the little down arrow, we have lots of different subtopics. And this particular page, digital lesson design, is under the FTLearn caret. So, you know, if you're needing to get back to this ever, or you can always email me and I'll just shoot you a link. So what we're talking about today is lesson format and considerations for digital learning that's completely online. And a couple weeks ago, I kind of developed a bit of a lesson model that I think will help us move forward. And it's based on the 5 E's with engage, explore, explain, create, connect, and share. And basically, if you think about your lesson block of lessons for the week like this, I think you can simplify planning for yourself. And I'm going to show you a couple examples. So for engage, you're really just piquing interest, typically with a video. For explore, you could create, especially for intermediate level teachers or middle school teachers, a list of resources you want your students to go to. It might be your textbook, it might be YouTube videos, it might be scholarly articles. And for high school teachers, you might ask your students to go out and find resources and bring them back and curate them. We're also looking for explaining, where students synthesize the information, take notes. They might be looking at key details, main ideas, creating with choice, and then sharing back through Schoology, what they've done, or through Teams. Some digital instruction designing things to consider is consider time on task. So I reached out to Aaron Wagner. Thank you, Aaron, for getting back to me, because we've really been struggling with how much time should we be planning for our students to be working on a single task. And Aaron shared that you can definitely expect like 2 to 5 minutes per year of age that students can stay focused on a task. So if you're thinking about that, I think in the days of NTI, we probably have to go with the lower end of that, and maybe 2 minutes. So the average 10-year-old might be able to focus on a single task for 20 minutes, maybe less, depending on the distractions around them. So consider that as you're designing your like daily tasks that students are doing. We also want to design for digital learners, and this is something that I've talked about quite a bit, with making sure that you include video directions, keep it short because their attention span is not there. Use images where possible to connect and align to the content, and put that on the right side of the screen. And video directions that you produce should probably only be about a minute per grade level. And that's really in 3. The standard rule of thumb is that students can engage with a video basically 1 minute per grade level. So if you're in 5th grade, you're looking at top 5-minute video for students to watch. I will say my kindergartner can probably focus for about 45 seconds, and then he gets out of his learning spot and runs like a madman. So just think of that as you're creating video or locating video for students to use. You also definitely want to be making it active. So any reading activity they have to do or video activity they have to watch, they should be doing something with that. They might be sketchnoting, they might be doing a graphic organizer, they might be writing up something to put on Flipgrid. It would help if you can offer choice as we move forward in that activity, but just consider different activities they might do. Organize it for success. You use visuals where possible to help students move through the content. Add colors to your Schoology folders. You might add a description to Schoology folders. You can actually even add an image to the Schoology folder. So that's going to help with Schoology. For a formative assessment, try to vary that up as much as again, as often as you can with graphic organizers. Flipgrid, use Teams as a possible formative assessment, and sketch notes. Sorry, I've been talking a lot lately. So, all right, now I'm going to scroll down and we're going to look at some lesson examples that kind of combine all those things. So over the weekend, Kim Schneer put together this lesson sample on the effects of the hydrosphere. And this is going to be, or this was starting yesterday, a week-long lesson that students could come back to daily and do different parts. So she put this picture on the front that represents the hydrosphere. And as students move through this, as the activity for the image, she wanted them to put, what do you see, what do you notice, and what do you wonder? And they had to do an active typing thing. And on the next slide, she just has that water shapes the land with another engaging photo of the waves shaping the land over time. And then the kids had to watch a video and write down 2 takeaways. So again, we have the short video. I think this one was about 3 minutes. And then 2 takeaways where they're doing something active with the video. Now, here she left directions for how they get to Pebble Go next, which is a great resource inside of ClassLink with really good scientific articles. There are also social studies articles there you guys might want to check out. And so they had to go to this, read the article, and then on the next slide, they had to do the main points, they had to take notes, and then write a summary. So this made for her reading for the day. Like, they didn't have to do an additional reading assignment because this was hitting on main idea and key detail. And as we get through, she just has them read even from their textbook and take notes from their textbook. And another video just to get through. All right, and now the last thing is she gave them choice on their create mode. So they had their choice between things that we know that the kids know how to do in 5th grade, which is a pic collage, all the way up to maybe working with their families to create a stream table model, or creating a Minecraft screen recording that demonstrates what they're supposed to be doing, or dipping into co-spaces. So 5th graders definitely know how to do a lot of those things, but then the one where it was like build and get into it a little bit, might need parent support, is just an option. And some of our kids who are like maybe gifted and talented might really get into that with their families and want to try something like that. So having that choice is really, really good. Another example I have for you guys here is a literature study. This would be for a choice book. And with that choice book, the students are given the option to read any book they want, and then they break up how that book is going to be read. And then for each of the sections, the teacher designates the number of sections. They do the same kind of like standards-based activities where it's like vocab and context, main idea, point of view, and that sort of thing. And the teacher can check in on that. And then at the end, it's just kind of like a review of what the book was. And you could give them the ability to create again. I also have some high school sample lessons that do the same kind of thing that we saw with Kim. These are from Colleen Epperson. And you can see if you flip through these that they just have a lot more into them, where they might be balancing chemical equations inside the tasks, going out to videos to watch. And again, at the end, there is some choice in what the students can do. So those are all there for you guys to kind of go through on your own and check out. I'm going to turn this back over to Jody. I think I took way too much time. Sorry, Jody. And he is going to show you how this might work inside Schoology, how some of these things.
So it will be an adventure to see if we can get into Schoology and see some of these things. Can you hear me okay, Heidi, and see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So one of the things I have done is, and I probably am in the wrong course here. Let me, I forgot that I needed to be, I can probably do this. Sorry, I forgot I was in the wrong user account for this. So everyone should be a student in a class called NTI instruction, and it will show up just like any other course that you have. And one of the things that we're trying to do is populate this with some different examples of what maybe a multi-day type lesson might look like in Schoology. And I actually have two that I've completed, only one of which is currently in Schoology, because over the past couple of days, like many of you, I haven't been able to put the things in Schoology. So I have it all built out. As a matter of fact, the second one that I'm doing is a middle school one, and this is currently what it looks like. I have typed everything out in a text file so that I can copy and paste it all into Schoology as soon as Schoology is up long enough for me to do that. So I will try to get that in there as soon as possible. Hopefully Schoology stays up the rest of the day and I can get that done by tomorrow morning. But the one I do have in here now is a high school example. And if you look, if I open up this thing, this folder, this is a lesson I created on the Internet of Things. This would cover a technology standard that we have at the high school level. And the way I did it was I created a folder for the introduction. I created a folder for the research students would have to do, a demonstration of knowledge, an opportunity for reflection and feedback, and then an opportunity for a summative assessment. And I try, even though this is specific to this Internet of Things lesson, I tried to build the folders out and include notes so that if a teacher wanted to use this as a template, they could do that. So this introduction contains a video introduction to the lesson and video transcript. And one of the things that we're trying to encourage teachers to do is to actually do a video introduction, because the students, if they see you and hear you talk about some of these topics, it will sink in better when they're other than just trying to read it. So I do have a video introduction as well as a transcript that they would be able to go to. And then there's actually a little assessment there that they would complete too. I have this set up to where they have to take this assessment, and it's a real simple assessment, but they have to pass that simple assessment in order for it to unlock the next thing, or at least that's how I would plan it. I think I may have not done that just so that teachers could go through and they could look at it without having to take that test. So I set it up so that you could make a completion roll here for this before the research would be available, etc. But I probably turned that off. So in my research folder, I have these, I have a description of the research, and I'm not going to go through all these assignments because that would take too long, and you have access to this. But I used a program called TED Ed, which is a website that you can go to, and if the student is 13 or up, they can watch a TED video and then answer some questions about the TED video. I used a Play Pause It assignment, which Play Pause It I think is for 13 and up, but I would have to double check that. The Play Pause It is where you can grab a YouTube video and embed questions within it. And then from there, I would ask students to do their own research and then submit an annotated bibliography, again, on this overall topic. As far as knowledge demonstration, I provided an infographic assignment and gave them information within that to complete an infographic. And then I made them post those. And the way I did that was I suggested that if their last names were up, I think A through J or A through K or something like that, they had to post that in the discussion board, and everyone else had to provide feedback on that. And so that is a graded discussion. And then for the summative assessment, they're instructed on making corrections to their infographic based off the feedback they received and or feedback that they've given, and then write a reflection on how that changed their product, and then submit that final infographic after they had made changes. So this is an example of something that would be a week-long lesson. It has embedded summative assessment. It has an embedded formative assessment. The grading is done in a way that there are rubrics attached to this, and I tried to make the rubrics as simple to follow as possible so that I'd be able to go in and choose these elements. Contains 3 of the following visual elements, contains 2 of the following visual elements. So these would be made available to students before they actually complete the assignment, and it makes the grading much easier, much more manageable if I do that as well. So that is that lesson, the middle school lesson that like I said, I have in this text file. Basically, I'm going to do it in a similar way, but I have I have some different folder structure in there. I basically took the standard that I wanted to do, and I think I have it here in Keynote. I took a middle school standard. In this case, students will describe intellectual property issues related to technology. And then I broke that down into, in order for a student to do this, what type of knowledge do they have to demonstrate? What reasoning do they have to demonstrate? And what performance do they have to demonstrate? And then I built activities based off of all these individual learning targets. And so that's what you will see. And I try to also incorporate other disciplines for their performance demonstrations. So in the activity that I've created for the middle school level, students will create a video, graphic, performance event, or animation that does not violate any principles of intellectual property. What I'm asking them to do there is to have a choice of what they want to create, and then they have to create something based off of a topic they're currently studying in social studies or in science or in reading or in writing or in math, so that they have to pick one of those topics that they're studying somewhere else, create one of these products, and then they have to include media that utilizes Creative Commons licensed or copyright-free images and music. And then there's an extension activity that we've built for it so that they can create their own copyright-free material with some guidance on that. So that is what it will look like from the Schoology standpoint. And I know that's a lot, and even as I was preparing this, I decided I probably will create a separate recording that goes over all that in much more detail at a little bit of a slower pace, but we wanted to at least throw some of these ideas out in a short 15-minute segment for those who didn't feel they had time to watch something longer. And we would be happy to take any questions you have.
Jody, I have a question.
Yes.
I used my iPad to record just a quick video of how to set up a problem. And then when I went to airdrop it into Schoology, it was too big to airdrop. So what suggestions might you have to get around that?
I'm trying to think of, Brian, have you been successful in compressing video in a different program, like in iMovie or something like that? Or Heidi, have you?
I'm not sure if Brian's having a hard time unmuting, but the one tip that he gave, this is Brian tip, from a while ago, was that if you do put it into iMovie and save it as the smaller, is it 540 or something, 540 resolution, then it reduces the file, and oftentimes that will go in. So if you just make it the smallest size in iMovie, that will then go into Schoology. The other option that
I guess all I'm doing is, basically dragging the corner of my screen down and then just recording whatever I'm doing on my iPad.
Right.
And then that goes right into my photos as a video. And so from that point on, I don't think there's much I can do with it.
Can I give a suggestion?
Sure.
So I've been doing the screen with QuickTime on my computer. I opened up a YouTube channel, and when you upload it to YouTube, it gives you the choice. I click on it, it's for kids only, and it's unlisted. And the only way that people can watch it is if you put that link in Schoology for them.
Okay.
Now you do have a time limit on YouTube. So if your screen recordings are really long, like over 15, 20 minutes, the other option is to put it in Google Drive. Make sure your Drive settings are for share with everyone with a link. Grab that link and then put that link into Schoology. So there are a couple options on your iPad. You can pull the video that you made on your iPad into iMovie, export it as the smallest video size.
Okay.
You can put it into
And
Google
resolution.
Drive, or you can upload it to YouTube. So that would be the three kind of fixes that I would give for that.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. Thank you.
Hey, Jody, one of the things, let's see, that Colleen asked was about folders. I don't know, I can share my screen or you I don't know if people are doing anything with customizing the description on folders and adding images. That's something that helps students move through it a little more interesting to look at.
My account just signed out. Do you have your account open?
Probably not. Let me see. Let me see, because I think it's starting to go. It's starting to get hard.
Starting to go south again?
Yeah, that's what it was sounding like. Let's see what it was. Oh, mine is opening. So let me.
Why don't you go ahead and share?
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
It's coming up now.
Okay.
There it is.
All right, I'm gonna scroll down. Okay, so here's an example of what I did in Schoology. This is just in my resources page. You can put any kind of media on the outside of a folder. So this is actually a video that's on the outside of the folder. If I wanted them to watch the video before I even have them get to the folder, that's a good way to do it. And then here's one where I put an image. And to do that, you're just going to go to the settings wheel. Maybe. Okay. And then I use this description box, and the description box has that little insert content feature. So you can click on insert content and you can pull in a YouTube video. You can pull in something from your Google Drive. So if you have to upload your lesson directions to Google Drive, you can pull that video right in from here. It could be a handout. It could be just an image. So anything that you can really do on a Schoology page, you can pretty much put on the outside of these folders to make it a little more clear what you want the students to do. And then of course you can change the colors. I know Chad Nieder, not sure if he's on here. If it's the folder they're supposed to be using, he makes it green. Gosh, I think it's green. I hope I'm not wrong. But it just makes it stand out. Especially it really stands out for our students if you can do things like that. So I have, again, you can add the video right from YouTube for them to watch before they even enter the folder, or you can add an image that maybe is an image that would describe what they're getting ready to do, or an engage image, and that just makes them a little more interesting. I'll quit sharing. See, and I think there was another question on, I don't know. And anybody, I mean, you feel free to unmute, guys, if you have questions. Oh, and Chad said I'm right. Good. All right. Okay.
I see a question in about setting completion. Let me see if I can find an example of that. I have lots of courses. I'm going to share my screen again real quickly. So here is a course that sometimes I just tinker around in. If I create this particular folder here called Internet of Things, this is separate from the other NTI course. This is where I was experimenting with some things in here. So if one of the options I have over here to the right is student completion. If I choose student completion, I can say these requirements must be completed in this order. And then if I add the requirements, there is an assignment inside that folder called delayed assignment test. And I can say the member must either make a submission to that, post a comment or reply, view the item, or if it's a test or a quiz, score at least a certain percentage or a certain numeric score on that. And then if I just say view the item, then I can add another requirement. It looks like that's the only thing in the folder, but I could choose here from all the different things that are inside the folder. So this is how I set student completion within a folder.
And I I really like that strategy, even, you know, when we're not in distance learning time or e-learning time for blended learning, because it allows students to move through the content a little more at their own pace. So your students who are really like focused on getting through a week's worth of content, if you post like a whole week's module out, you can set those requirements so that they are going in and checking in on quizzes after they've done the content that they need to do. So I think that's a really nice strategy for helping kids manage what they have to do and when, and in what order.
Other questions? Someone had posted in here something about play pause. It is not unlimited. I just used the free account. The free account, you are limited in how many different videos you can create. For some teachers, it's the free account is plenty. For some teachers, they opt to get a paid version of it so that they have more options. But if you've never used play pause, it's worth a look.